much with kids, man?
Kids are great. Kids are what really gives meaning to life. And I didn't realize it until I had kids.
Remember,
Your whole life you're trying to figure out what life is all about. And then once you have kids, that's like, boom, everything makes sense.
I remember my kids were little and you were around and
Yeah.
this is crazy. Oh, you had little brothers and sisters back then too, though. And you liked being a free bird, and I was always involved, doing stuff. And it's definitely, it gives you a different sense of purpose having kids. Like you always think, like I remember before I had kids, all my goals, all my ambitions, all my dreams were like things that I wanted to achieve. But now that I have kids, or now that I've had kids, my oldest being 20 years old, almost 21, things change. And the reason that you do things change, and your purpose changes, and the drive changes, and your whole reason why behind everything changes. I mean, realistically, why did you go into business? To make money. Why did I go into business? To make money. You start to realize after you have kids that there's a lot bigger thing in life besides money. When you focus on the blessings in life and the things that you have, it creates a better experience and a better reason why you do what you do. And I think ultimately, like, so many people are empty when they don't have a purpose, whether it's for their parents, whether it's for their significant other, whether it's for their kids, whatever it is. If it's just for money, what I've seen is the love of money turns into a internal hate because it's never satisfying. But when your kids go, jiu-jitsu and stuff now, you see your kids grappling, you see your kids doing stuff, like, and you just being there and them making a move and seeing you look at them, they smile. Dad
they
saw
look
me.
up.
You know what I mean?
As they're submitting kids, they'll look up to see where I'm at.
Yeah.
And once they see that I'm watching them and I'm engaged into what they're doing, they put in twice the effort. So it's, for me, the most important part about being a father is being a better father than my father was to me. So my father was a great father. He provided us with everything that we needed, but he might have not been there as much as I would have liked him to be. He would drop us off at school, and then he would get home an hour before I had to go to bed. So I would only see him for half an hour to an hour before I had to go to sleep, and then do it all over again the next day.
Yeah.
And it was like that for years. And although we did get to spend the weekends together, I didn't have the relationship with my father that I had with my kids. And purposely, after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I literally ingrained myself that I have to take off all the limiting beliefs that I had, that I grew up with, and pass on to them something where they have no limit. The other day, my son tells me, I want to buy a Koenigsegg, a $6 million car. My answer was, that's a great idea. There's a 6-year wait for the car. Now think about how are you going to pay for the car? How are we going to get that car, right? And he tells me, we're going to put a lemonade stand together, or we're going to sell cookies. I couldn't say to him, no, that's not how you're going to do it, because I'm automatically putting a limiting belief system in him. So what I said to him was, okay, well, how many cookies do we need to sell? And how do we build a cookie enterprise and a lemonade enterprise in order to make that $6 million to pay for the car? And after a couple of conversations, they said to me, well, if we launch a YouTube channel, how many views do we need in order to get paid? And how many subscribers do we need in order to get paid? And I said, wow, now you're really onto something. So they went ahead and they told me that they wanted to launch their own channel, and they did it. They launched a couple of videos, and their videos are starting to get views. And they're 7 years old and 5 years old. Let's say it takes them 10 years to build that audience, and in 10 years they have a big audience. They'll have millions of dollars in 10 years from now. And they'll be able to buy the car that they want because they're launching their business today. And it's doing something that I talked to my wife about, and I said, look, the economy is really becoming a digital economy, and your brand is everything. if they're able to launch their channel today and they're able to garner an audience of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people over time, they're gonna have a very powerful brand.
Yeah.
So they're doing it.
Yeah, I remember when my kids were young. I mean, my conversations are different now, but when my kids were young and they wanted something or they thought about something or something was an idea, I always said, yeah, absolutely, you can get that. You know, you have to work hard to do that, or whatever the situation may have been. Now my kids being older, you know, almost adulthood, and some are adults. Now I'm trying to teach them the difference between wants and needs, and why they need to focus on the things that they need to get the things they want versus buying the things they want and never having the things they need, and training their mind to realize, like, we can have anything we want, but what do we need to get there? You know, like, we could spend all the money. My son said the other day, like, I want to buy this pit bike. It's whatever it was, $4,000, whatever it was. He's like, I got the $4,000. I'm like, that's cool. Like, you got the $4,000 to buy the pit bike, but do you need the pit bike? You have bikes here. Do you need a new one? Can you modify the old one? Or can you sell the old one to get the new one? Just because something's new, it doesn't stay new forever. What can you do for the old one so you can take that $4,000 and invest it somewhere else to be more powerful for you, or whatever it is? So what he does now is he buys and sells cars. You know, he owns a company, but just to make a side hustle. He bought a car the other day for like $1,800 and sold it for like $4,400. And see now, there's a difference between wants and needs.
Right.
You just took that $1,800, more than doubled it. You know, now he's saying, I need to find another car. I need to flip another car. Bought a trailer for, I think, $2,200. Sold it for $5,500. I said, now that's the shit you got to do. Take something that has value that maybe somebody doesn't realize the value in it. Then you go out there and extend it to somebody else, and you take the value in by selling it at a higher price.
Yeah. Well, that's arbitrage,
Yeah.
right? And it's funny that you mentioned that. My kids were in a similar situation, but they're 7 and 5. So they have this Chuck E. Cheese coins that they got at Chuck E. Cheese, and they're little gold coins with amounts on them. And they're like, what can we buy for this? And I said, well, they're literally worthless. So see if you can trade them for something, figure out what you can do with them, because they're not worth any money. So the little one took the coins, he put them in his backpack, took them to school, and started trading the coins for toys that other kids had in school. And he would come home and he said, look what I got today. I said, where'd you get that toy from? Oh, I traded it with Isaac for a Chuck E. Cheese coin. And I'm like, that's a good trade.
Isaac's mom's gonna be calling you.
And then they started coming home with toys, with better toys. And I said, where did you get that? They're like, oh, I gave, I don't remember the kid's name, Liam. I gave him 2 Chuck E. Cheese coins and he gave this to me. I said, is that a good trade? I said, that's a great trade. So now they're understanding the value of trading and the value of exchange, which is not something that they're going to learn in school, right? So
That's cool.
as long as they start learning at a young age, that builds the concept of value and the concept of trading and arbitrage into whatever it is that they're going to do in life.
Both you and your wife are entrepreneurs, so I think that even with your kids doing now, outside of that, there's looking at you guys as an outside influence in what you guys are doing, your business, your wife's business, and everything that you guys do. And ultimately, like, as long as you're not giving them everything and not making them earn things, they're going to be exactly like you guys. They're going to go out there and fight the world to be their absolute best. And what I've seen in life is, like, people who are in our situations giving their kids things, like a kid's first car. Like my son with a Donovan Catholic. Girls show up with a brand new BMW, a brand new Tesla, a brand new this. My son had like a $3,000 truck. You know what I mean? He was happy as shit. It was his truck. It was whatever. And daddy and mommy didn't buy it for him.
Right.
The appreciation for that and being able to realize that that's something that he purchased, something that he had, and something he fought for, created more value than the kid who crashed their BMW. Now mom and dad bought him another brand new BMW.
Yeah.
You know? So all I can tell you, any advice I can ever give, like as your kids get older, just make sure that they earn things and you don't give them things, because it'll possess a better value for them long term.
And that's something that I might be guilty of. You know, I didn't grow up getting whatever I wanted, so I'm guilty of giving my kids a lot of whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
But as they're getting older, they learn that in order to get what they want, they also need to show up in school. They also need to work for what they want. And they're learning to earn things now that they're older.
Well, don't get me wrong, I gave my kids things, but I ultimately made them deserve it with, the things that they had to do around the house, or, the respect, or school, or whatever it was, good sports, good grades, whatever it was. But there's just other people out there who literally wonder why their kids become epic failures. Hunter Biden, right? A great example. That's a daddy-made kid that turned into a delinquent, and look at his life. But people do this, people who make money, have money, do this all the time to their kids, and then wonder why. Why me? You've created that monster. Your kids are doing things, they're young, it's different. But your kids aren't 17 years old, you're not buying them a Ferrari. You know what I mean?
Money's not the end all be all. Success is about achieving the goals that you want to achieve, whether that's spending more time with your family, or having more time for your hobby, having more time for yourself, or your self-growth. That's what success is all about. The problem with people and with the younger generation is that they think success equals money, and it's not.
Living a life at your own terms is the ultimate goal and ultimate purpose of what we do, but I think too many people, I said it on a podcast recently, TGIF, thank God it's Friday. You know that 89% of heart attacks happen on Monday because people know where they're going, or Sunday night. Sunday night into Monday, 89% of heart attacks happen because people ultimately get all worked up about where they have to be the next day or that morning. And when you live that life, it's so uncomfortable. Like, if you really think about it, if you're living for Friday, what do you have? 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night, and then you have all day Saturday, and then you have all day Sunday to stress about what you have to return to. It's wild. Like, today's Monday. All day we've been together doing what we're doing, shot some podcasts, had some fun, drove around, whatever. People wouldn't even be able to understand that. Be like, Monday, like, that's the craziest day for me. But if you're able to balance your life properly and really get yourself in a place where your life is working with you and you're not working for it, it becomes a totally different space and a lot more enjoyable.
And that applies to everybody.
Yeah.
That applies to the people that have a job, and that applies to the people that own a business. Most people that own a business are not free.
No. Slaves to their nature.
So it's when I work with businesses and CEOs and owners of companies, I help them essentially take their life back and having their business on their own terms, helping them grow their business so they can have more time for themselves, and helping them grow their business so they can earn more money and spend more time with their family, or spend more time doing whatever it is that they love doing.
A lot of people in business are not focusing on the right things. They look like shit. They feel like shit because they think that success is the numbers of business and putting the time in and putting the work in. But ultimately, if you take care of yourself, take care of your family, you take care of everything around you, everything else is going to work out. How many business owners look like shit because they don't go to the gym, they don't take care of themselves? But when you look at some of the most successful people in this world, ultimately they look good, they have a tight family, good relationships, and a striving business because they make everything important. Yeah. Thank you, buddy.
Met a lot of people that have a lot of money in Miami. New York City was one thing. You know, the billionaire class is more separate from the rest of the people in the city. But in Miami, you see it. You're mingling more
Everywhere.
with it. It's everywhere. You know, Miami, you see Lambos, G-Wagons, Bugattis everywhere.
It's like
And when you go out on the water, you see these massive yachts. One of my neighbors has a helicopter. He has a helipad on the water. So he literally lands on his helipad in the backyard. It's motivating.
yeah.
It helps you expand your mind into what it's possible, and you're saying to yourself, well, if this person did it, why can't I do it? So it helps you, it motivates you.
Opens up a wider spectrum of possibilities and
But-
opportunities.
You got to always stay in your lane. You can't try to keep up with somebody that's got $100 million, right?
But I think in New York City, you don't see that because everyone's living in apartments.
Right.
You know, everyone's jumping in cabs, Ubers, and everything. Not many cars going out there, so you kind of have like this small vision of what's really possible because you don't really know. Like my buddy's brother does very well financially, lives in New York, and he bought an Escalade. I think his Escalade payment's like $2,000 a month, and he pays just as much just to park his Escalade. You know, and you'd never know that he had an Escalade. You'd never know his apartment cost him $12,000 a month because you don't see anything in the outside world. Like Miami is like a different place where it expands your vision because everything's visual.
You see it, and a lot of people like to go out. So, like you said, when I was living in New York City, I had a Range Rover, and to park it cost me more than the car payment. The car payment was $910 a month. The parking was $1,200 a month, and I never used the car.
Wow.
In 3 years, I put 11,000 miles on the car.
Because there's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go. The car, when we drove the car, it was literally when we went to the Hamptons in the summer. Driving back and forth to the Hamptons during the summers.
How does the Hamptons compare to Miami? Like a smaller version?
It's more old money.
Miami's more younger people, right? Or is it a mix?
Miami's a confluence of money from all over the world. So Miami is literally the financial capital of the Latin America world.
Oh.
Billionaires from Brazil, from Colombia, Venezuela, from all those countries, they migrated and they all moved to Miami. All of them planted roots in Miami because their countries were becoming too socialist or too communist. And you also have, if you go up northern part of Miami Beach, you have Sunny Isles. That's where like all the Russian oligarchs are living, and they have their places in. And all of the Eastern Europeans, that's where the pocket of them are, and it's just ridiculous money. You drive around, and it's the soccer mom car is the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. It's literally what it is. It's so there's different levels and different levels of money. There's a great opportunity because they're all looking for ways to deploy their money. Right? I'm in the money business, so if I have a good deal, or they're looking for some sort of a stock idea, I can pitch them. I tell them, hey, you should buy this company, or you should look into buying this stock. So there's always some value that I can provide, and there's value that they provide to me because I'm able to make some money off of helping them make their money.
Yeah, I was in Miami one time, probably back like 2019 in January. I went to a Buffalo Bills Miami Dolphins game, and I remember driving down the strip. Bro, it was like chaos. It was crazy. It reminded me of like a glorified Seaside Heights, but with classier atmosphere, right? Remember growing up, going down Seaside Heights, bumper to bumper traffic? So,
And that's just Miami Beach.
I've never been anywhere down there. We went to dinner a couple places, but we were only there for a couple days, so I really didn't get to experience Miami. You know, I'm not a big guy in the club scene and the bar scene, so like I don't know much about that at all. But when I think about Miami, I think about like the chaos you see on TV.
Yep. Well, it's like New York City. You know, people think about New York City and they think about Times Square or Rockefeller Center.
Yeah.
So that's what Miami is for the masses, and what I like to call the riffraff, and the people that just go there to party. There's also a lot of class in Miami and a lot of old money in Miami.
I spent some time with some high caliber people, and you know, it's amazing that when you look at people who are significant and done significant things in life, they ultimately give you their time, they'll give you their information, they'll talk to you. But then you look at some of the other people out there who like you're trying to help. Yeah, you know what I mean? They're so unfocused in reality and what is really being done, but then people who have the information that we're looking for are willing to share as long as we're willing to listen. But why do you think that when you look at it, I don't want to say a lower class of person, but a person who maybe hasn't had success in their life but ultimately should change the direction of their life, why doesn't that person pay attention to somebody who's a higher influence, like as if you and I were talking to somebody that was a way higher influence? Why don't they pay attention like we would pay attention?
Because they're not training knowing that knowledge is power. Any kind of knowledge that you gain from somebody is power. Information is power. And a lot of people are not really trained in the way that we're trained. A lot of people try to figure it out too late in the game. We started training ourselves on how to become a better person or a better entrepreneur very early on. For you, it's 25 years ago. For me, it's 16 years ago, right? I think some people get too late in the game and they get to realize too late in the game that knowledge is power, and they get uncomfortable in settings where they're talking to somebody that's more successful than they are, or somebody that they might be able to get something from. So they go to the comfort zone, and the comfort zone is the phone.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times when people, you talk about like too late in the game, is they feel like they have to undo too much to get somewhere better, when ultimately it's just doing something different. You don't have to undo anything. All these experiences in your life and everything that you've learned throughout the years, it's just stuff that you can put on a side burner. But if you have the ability to learn more and do more, I love getting in spaces where people who are successful, whether they're on the same playing field as me, whether they're in a lower playing field, higher play, whatever it is, I love asking questions. I always look for the opportunity in this situation versus trying to close myself off, because you never know who you're going to come across, who you're in front of, who you're next to. So I always try to learn something every time I'm somewhere, no matter where I am.
You know, and that's what I learned from social media, the power of Instagram. And I got to thank you for pushing me to get my Instagram out there, because ever since I started talking about different things, random people have reached out to me and say, hey, I'm looking to do something like this with my business. What should I do? And people that have a lot more experience than I do have reached out to me because they've seen a video of something that they're interested in learning about. For example, I put a reel out about tokenization and how that's going to be the future of finance. I was on a phone call 2 days ago. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about your video, and I'm really interested because I know a fund manager that has $40 million in cash that he's looking to deploy into tokenized assets, specifically tokenized assets. And I have a friend that's worth over $75 million that's looking into doing tokenized assets, and he's already working on it. So now I'm able to take one contact and take another contact, and like you said, it's from talking to random people and just talking to people that seem to be interesting. Now I might be able to put together a $40 million deal together and make some money in the process.
What's up, Dave? Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you too.
This is my good friend Armando.
Armando, what's up, man? Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. came in from Miami, man. I told him he's got to come to Charcoal. Check it out.
That's right. It's the best.
I love this place. I love what you guys got going on here.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we have a very distinct style that we like.
I was telling Armando, you own a few different things. What do you got across the street?
So across the street we have Orem. It's a catering hall. Real New York trendy vibe that we have going on over there. Next door we have Artiste. It's a brewery. Again, same kind of multi-level open feel that we have that goes on. And then here, Charcoal, open sky, feel to the whole restaurant. When you walk in, makes you feel real welcome when you walk
Now,
in.
how long you guys been open here? A couple years now, right?
Charcoal is open 3 years now. Brewery's open 2 years. And Orem is open 9 years.
9 years. You guys get like 500 reservations here every Friday and Saturday, right? Something like that?
Fridays we probably have about 250 to 300. Saturdays push about 400 all day.
Wow. Now you guys got a new, and I was talking to Jay a while ago. Jay's your partner.
Correct.
And you guys have a new restaurant coming out. It was a secret for a while. I knew a little bit before, but now the world knows. So what's that all about?
So we had that on a hush for quite a little bit, and then we just started to tell everybody about 3-4 weeks ago, and that's called Moxie. That one's going to be in Long Branch downtown, in the middle of all of Kushner's new buildings. And that one, same thing. Our feel, the 2-story open, real modern look, modern menu, like this kind of place here.
The vibe's almost the same.
Pretty close.
Pretty close, right?
A little different. Nice outdoor space also, just like here. Indoor, outdoor, 2-level, open. Over there we'll have a liquor license, so it's
awesome. A little bit different.
A little bit different.
A little bit different. You guys are excited for that?
Yeah, very excited.
How long has that been in the works?
I'd say about 8 months.
How long till they get open?
We're pushing for Memorial Day.
Couple months.
Congratulations.
Yeah, 2 months, yeah.
The whole place is done, basically, right? Now you just gotta like.
It's about 90% of it there.
Nice.
Yeah, we still have some more greenery we got to finish, a little more interior decorating.
Everything's done with the town?
Adjustments, pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't want to bring him anywhere else besides here. I said, listen, man, we got to go to Charcoal. These guys have the best place around, best steakhouse around. There's all these other places out there, and I truly believe are overrated, overpriced. And you know that I'm a fan. I'm always here, and I promote everyone. I promote everyone to come here, and you guys have literally like ripped the top off with what you guys have done here.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Listen, I always support you. I'll do everything I can to support you guys. You guys are true people, true guys with class, and you really bring out to your people, and you guys actually spend time with your guests. Every time I'm here, I see every table. You want to know people on a personal level. You want to talk to people. You thank people for coming. It's not just about, hey, here's our food, here's the bill. It's about, hey, I'm Dave, hey, I'm Jay, thanks for coming in and whatnot. And you guys really make sure that people have an amazing experience. And I think if other restaurants did what you guys did, they would almost have, you guys almost have like a fan club. Like you have people who continually come here all the time. I was with a guy last Thursday, and he said out in Reading, Pennsylvania, they literally are talking about Charcoal.
Really?
People are wanting to come out Charcoal because of the atmosphere and the way you set the mood and the tone. People are talking to you guys about you guys in another state.
That's amazing. I love it.
I said, well, I know those guys. Anytime you guys want to go, you let me know.
Yeah.
We'll get you in there.
Yeah, my cousins out in Staten Island, they tell me all the time, like their friends like, oh, we got to go to your cousin's spot.
Yeah. There's a couple other spots that were around before you guys, and I feel like, they had a big push and a big wave, but they didn't set the environment like you guys have. Maybe their atmosphere is a little bit different. It's a little catchy for maybe videos and footage, but ultimately when you come to the way you treat your guests, your staff, guys like this guy is amazing, your food, everything hits the level of 10 or above. And I think if people can just look at how they can present themselves to be the best for their space, and instead of trying to compete with other people like you guys don't, you just try to make yourself better, I think the world would be such a different place, and so many other people would have connections like you guys do outside promoting your guys' places without you even knowing about it.
Right.
So
I can't add anything to that.
Well, I can't wait till he tries the steak here and the food. Told me he's going to be full for a couple days.
Mondo is being a fellow Miamian. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it.
Yeah. So you're bringing some Miami into
Little
Jersey.
flair, I grew up in
Some
Brooklyn, so
flair,
it's a little
okay.
bit more of the Brooklyn, New York kind of flair.
Yeah.
You know?
It's awesome. Well,
Where-
thanks for letting us be here, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming. Thanks, man.
You got it, buddy.
Nice to meet you.